And a very good evening to you now. My name is Kino Cummins, Head of Culture at UCT Online High School, and I am expecting you to send the videos in of you dancing to that song as a family, right? So, I mean, you did get the email, did you? Anyway, so we are talking subject choice, we are talking career guidance, and because we like co-creating things at UCT Online High School, we've sent you those Google Docs, you've come up with the questions, you've then also voted, because we do believe in a democracy. And we basically going to hop straight into it today. So we've got a load of questions, and I'm going to just once again introduce you to the panel. They'll be introducing themselves, but then we'll get straight into the questions, which is why you are here tonight. So my panel this evening. So Monet, let's start with you. Just give us an introduction to yourself and what you do at UCT Online High School. Then we'll go to Sherry and then Danny.
Good evening, Kino. Good evening to the viewers. I'm the Career Services Manager at UCT Online High School, and my responsibility is to look after the career development, career guidance leg of the business, ensuring that learners make the right choices with their careers. Absolutely essential stuff.
Does that mean people come back to you at the end? It's big responsibility that there, Monet. Anyway, Sherry, an introduction to yourself. Thank you for that, Monet. Sherry?
Good evening, everyone. I am Sherry, and I am the Academic Administration Manager at Valentia. And I take care of the student records team, and we are very involved in the document verification process that all the learners go through when they join the school. That's me. Over to you, Danny.
Thank you, Sherry, and good evening, everybody. I'm Danny Randall, and I'm the Head of Student Wellbeing, and I have the great joy of working with an exceptional team. So I manage the co-curricular manager, the career services, and our academic and counseling support. And together we are adamant about challenging and changing the landscape of education to ensure that we do offer an holistic offering.
And I've got no doubt that Danny will also have a future in television. I remember the last webinar we did together. It was, we got some really good feedback, by the way. So shall we jump straight into the questions? This one to you, Danny. You can answer this one. I would like to find out if we are obliged to choose the 4 compulsory subjects. I'm asking this because my son has never done Afrikaans, so is it COSA before? Otherwise, if it's not too late for him to start in grade 10, may he do Afrikaans? Are there other South African languages offered besides Afrikaans and isiXhosa? Danny?
Thanks, Kino. So they do have to select the compulsory subjects. Grade 10 level Afrikaans is quite advanced. So if they do take it for the first time, it needs to be on the condition that they will get additional support with a tutor. And currently, Afrikaans and isiXhosa are the only South African first additional languages on offer. However, if this particular learner does have immigrant status, they can apply for an exemption from a first additional language. Alternatively, there is another option where they can carry on with the first additional language that they are currently taking, but do so with an external provider, as long as that provider is accredited with Sakai, IEB, or the DBE, and that they can provide us with a portfolio of evidence.
Perfect. Sherry, the next question for you. Due to the fact that my daughter has recently relocated back to South Africa after 12 years in the UK, her second language of choice would be Afrikaans. However, she's had no previous experience with it. Would there be options for extra assistance to ensure that she can actually progress with this particular language?
Kino, so we do have a resource bank of tutors that we can share. However, I would need more information to be able to advise in this case. We would need to know what grade this particular learner is entering into, if they have immigrant status, or if they've attended school in South Africa before they moved to the UK. So if this parent can reach out to us, that would be great.
All right, perfect. And as always, we do get back to you. Monet, this one's for you, sir. What are the future jobs that will be in demand? It's one of my favorite subjects, this. Let's talk.
Thanks, Kino. I mean, it's one of the most exciting questions that young people are asking currently. I mean, you look at the landscape, everything is changing. COVID came, it disrupted everything, and people are now asking the questions, where am I going to work? Which careers are hot right now? And I think there's a couple of factors that we need to consider, as a learner, you need to consider. And some of those key things that you need to look at is the rapid growth of the career industry that you want to go into, the numerous openings in the company or in the industry, as well as new and emerging jobs. And when you look at how it all started happening, we were just introducing fourth industrial revolution, and then now COVID came, everybody wants to work from home. And then you look at what are the skills in demand, and when you look at some of the key examples that I thought we should talk about is your digital careers. You've got support coaches at UCT Online. Some of the key skills that you need is actually your digital mindset, being able to handle the digital world and actually deliver in the digital environment. You look at things like your data sciences, which are now quite in demand. I was talking to a mate of mine, and we were talking about how data is a currency these days. You have data, you own a bit of the world, you have a share in the market. And I think when it comes to the other jobs, technology is definitely disrupting most of them. But when you think about it, it's a matter of how you now plan going forward. How do you become in demand as an individual yourself by actually focusing on those skills that are going to be in demand in the near future? And I'm hoping soon we'll be having a webinar around the future skills that young people need. So I think just understanding that concept of the forever changing environment, the world of work, becomes a critical point. And I think we're going to cover some of the things in the webinar just now.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. I mean, one of the other key things as well, Monet, and so help me out if I'm wrong, but empathy is a big part. Empathy, understanding people. These so-called soft skills aren't really all that soft at the moment, because you can come up with the best artificial intelligence. If you don't get the buy-in from the people in which you're deploying that artificial intelligence, it's not going to work. So, a level of the arts, I think, very important as well. So I'm looking forward to that, by the way. So, sure, we can have lots of fun with that one. So Danny, back to you. So what activities are available for kids so that they do not become antisocial, since they'll be using an online platform to study?
Kino, your note there about those soft skills ties in so beautifully here, because as you know, we remain so cognizant on the importance of connection and belonging in order for our learners to thrive. So we really are very intentional about providing opportunities to connect that do not revolve around academics only. And some examples of those platforms would be in the Learning Compass and homeroom sessions with their coaches, as well as our extra and co-curricular offerings as well.
Brilliant stuff. Sherry, to you, most educational institutions issue student cards to their learners as a way of identifying a learner with the particular institution. Will UCT Online High School issue student cards?
Considering our context, that's not really applicable for our learners. So they wouldn't need a student card because they'll be working from the comfort of their own space.
All right, perfect. Now, before we continue, Monet, to the next question, I would just like to basically ask you to post questions on the Q&A rather than the chat, right? So that we can actually get back to you. We have a load of questions to go through tonight. I can't promise that we will have time for the Q&A, but we always get back to you. So please understand that. So just post those questions on the Q&A rather than the chat. That'll be much appreciated. All right, time for us to move on. Sherry, thanks for that answer. Moving on to Monet. Is it wise to take civil engineering as a career nowadays?
It's an interesting question. I was thinking about it when I got this question. I was thinking, civil engineers, what does it mean, this new world of work? How do civil engineers innovate in this new era that we find ourselves in? And I think it goes back to the point that we were making just now, the skills that you need to learn and develop, and making sure that even with in the midst of disruption, you still remain in demand. And I think the world of technology is here to stay. We can't change that fact. And I think for civil engineers, all the beautiful buildings and all these cities that we are building, I think they are always going to remain in demand. And I think it's just a matter of getting those skills that are going to make you special and that are going to lend you that job.
Indeed. Sherry, we've got a question for you. And I just want to, you're obviously watching this webinar right now, and we said a half an hour. We might go slightly over, right? So you've got plans. I'll try and keep it as close to 30 minutes as possible. But let's go straight into Sherry's question. When the child graduates, will he or she be able to apply for university with your certificates? Is the school legit?
Yes, too legit. Too legit to quit. Sorry, I had to.
No, I'll have to join you on that one.
Yes, we are legit. And yes, your child will be able to apply for university with our certificate. We are accredited with Sakai, and this just means that we are recognized as an institution that offers the CAPS curriculum.
Okay, so perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we're going to have to sing at some stage. And by the way, Sherry is an amazing singer. I can't say much more than that right now. So Monet, since the grade 9s did not have access to this career pathway platform previously, will UCT Online High School include elements of, from grade 8 at least, selecting subjects, guidelines, starting my journey, especially around career exploration strategies and learning study skills?
Well, again, another beautiful question that came through, and I was quite excited when I got it, because I think the thinking around the career services portfolio is we are developing a framework for career development as a whole, because often people think that career development, career guidance is just about choosing subjects, but there's a whole lot more that comes with career development, because it's a lifelong process that you need to ensure that you've got all the activities in place, you've got all the solutions in place to ensure that the learners are planning and they're doing all that they need to do to ensure that they realize their full potential. And we will be rolling out a program in a phased manner to ensure that we cover all the elements of this journey. And we are also developing a resource bank to aid the students with career development and career planning. So yes, there is going to be solutions that are going to be implemented.
I'd just like to thank everybody for just co-creating, coming up with these questions, phenomenal questions indeed. Danny, this one to you. What about support when it comes to improving mathematics?
I love this one because it's not just an academic answer. The therapist in me is like, maths, they lied, is not just about numbers. It is about emotion. It's one of the most emotionally charged subjects. So for me, my response to this would be really to establish, is the support emotional or academic? And there are two branches with which we can certainly assist. So tutors, if additional external tutoring is required, but also facilitators if it's about anxiety and performance and emotion that is attached to the mathematics. Internally, however, we also do offer live sessions with our teachers. We have wonderful Ask Me Anything sessions where the learner may reach out to the teachers for extra assistance. And then there are also group and one-on-one live sessions where sometimes the teacher might request to see a learner or learners if they pick up that there might be a challenge in the mathematics.
So where were you when I was at school? I mean, I was wondering why I used to cry before mathematics tests all the time. So, but thank heavens, we've got support these days. So thank you very much for that, Danny. Sherry, can you take business studies with mathematics literature?
Short answer, yes, you can.
That's it. Yes, you can. Okay. And now, Danny, back to you. Are there other subjects that you consider introducing in 2023? Could we request subjects? Will AP Maths be offered, for example? Is there by any chance that you can provide information technology as a subject? Is there a plan to introduce French as another language, since there are international students who may have a challenge with Xhosa and Afrikaans, as they are not South African?
So we certainly are very eager to offer additional subjects in the future, but at this stage we cannot confirm which subjects. As I think many of the parents and students would have seen, we do honor transparency, and we will keep our Guardian community and learners updated about any decisions that are made about this. But there is also the option of taking a subject externally. As we mentioned previously, external subjects just need to be through an accredited IEB, Sakai, or DBE provider, which is at an additional cost. And just to reiterate that we really do appreciate hearing from our guardians and our learners on what subjects they would like to see. So we welcome the feedback. We just can't commit to anything now, but that does not mean we don't commit to open communication. So please share with us.
So the answer really is we, and merci for the questions. So, Monet, which subjects to choose for which career choice?
So another one that I like, Kino, and I mean, it's as if they were reading my mind or where we are as a career services portfolio. I mean, if you think about career development and choosing subjects, I think it starts with understanding yourself, understanding the career that you want to pursue, which is the first initial part. You need to know who you are, what you like, what are your values before you jump the gun.
Yeah.
And once you figure out who you are, what you like, and what's your personality, it's actually quite easy to choose any subject and get on with it, right? But the subjects that you choose will have a very huge impact in the long run, meaning that the subject you choose today might affect the types of jobs that might be available for you. So when you choose a subject, it's actually a very complex process that requires attention and intentional decision-making, meaning that you need to go through a process of self-awareness, which is the part that you are getting to know yourself. And then you go to the career awareness part, where now you look at a career path and you actually have to make the decision based on what is the career path that I need to pursue, and then it informs the subjects that you need to choose. For an example, if you say you like helping people, for an example, in my case, I enjoy supporting people, assisting, then I use that as a base of me making a decision. Then I look at a whole spectrum of careers that are available. What sort of help do I want to offer people? Then I go into the humanities. I want to actually sit and talk to people, guide people, meaning that now I'm narrowing down my options into those that would require me to talk to people. Because as an example, I like helping, but I'm afraid of blood. I wouldn't work in a hospital, so I wouldn't go into the medical industry. And therefore, when you make those decisions, when you go through that process, it becomes intentional to say, if I want to go into the helping industry, I would then choose subjects that are going to unlock those opportunities in tertiary institutions that are going to actually allow me to get into industries such as psychology, counseling, and social work. So it's an intentional process.
Absolutely. Sherry, for you, from this stage, what is the process? The Department of Education did not reply back to accept my application for online schooling. So what now?
Okay, so from our side, you can continue with the application process in the meantime, but we do urge you to please follow up with the department. You will have to wait for their feedback on the application.
Okay, Monet, back to you. How's the UCT team going to help us, when it comes to applying and doing all that is needed to get into the right university?
Thanks, Kino. I think the role of the Career Services Office is to actually guide learners. So meaning that we are working on creating a resource bank of all the institutions that learners could actually apply to, meaning that the onus or the responsibility is with the learner to actually go and apply. But our role is to be there and give them support, offer them the resources, and ensure that we give them all the information they need to know about different institutions, how to apply, and to a larger extent, also look at bringing in other opportunities for those who might want to learn abroad, for an example. So gathering the resources together and offering this to our student community.
Thank you, Monet. Danny, this question for you. Our son's home language is Afrikaans and he's currently studying in English. He'll be taking English as a home language and Afrikaans as an FAL. Can he add isiXhosa as an FAL for grade 9 with no prior knowledge or understanding of isiXhosa, or does the course require a basic knowledge of isiXhosa?
So if this is an additional subject, so if he's looking at doing 3 languages, at grade 9 level, there's certainly room to still learn the basics. So we encourage him to do so. But like all languages, if he engages with this content regularly, then he should benefit from our course offering. And our faculty members are also very readily available to support learners of different levels of their language ability.
Okay, Monet, question batted to you, sir. Subjects that will enable a career in information technology, some guidance there.
So if you look at IT, it's becoming a bit more broad, as people are looking to innovate and disrupt each industry. So meaning that you need to also consider that, which industry or which field do you want to practice in. But when you're in high school, subjects like your computer applications, information technology at high school are important. And you also look at mathematics. It becomes quite critical as well, depending on which industry you want to go to. But those are your sort of subjects that you need to go.
Thank you, sir. Sherry, for a child that has never studied Afrikaans as a first additional language in lower grades, is it possible for the learner to opt to take it at grade 11 as a replacement for Sepede, which is a first additional language? Information about the process for taking on new subjects in grade 11 and also support available to catch up on the subjects.
Okay, so this is a lengthy one. I would say it's not advised to take a new first additional language at grade 11 level because failure of an FAL is considered a grade failure. It's also, like Danny mentioned earlier, incredibly difficult at that point in time. There are, however, exemptions for this. That would be life orientation and economic management sciences because they are pretty easy subjects to master. However, it's not recommended for language, mathematics, or sciences because of the level of difficulty to master those fundamentals at that point in time. For this learner situation or this use case, this learner that's currently taking Sepede as an FAL, they can continue with it by taking it externally, as long as they take all the other required subjects with us and that the service provider that they do it through is accredited with Sakai, IAB, or the DBE and can provide a portfolio of evidence.
Thanks, Sherry. Now, Monet, based on the benchmarks and my child's results, would you be able to recommend if my child should take mathematics core or mathematics literacy versus my child's results indicating her strengths based on her honest answering of the questionnaire provided, thereby highlighting her strengths and possible career paths?
Thanks, Kino. I think also in the chat, I just read another question. Will we be offering psychometric testing? I think psychological assessments and psychometric testing is quite an important step or part of career development because it helps answer some of the questions about the learners, their cognitive capacity, can they handle the capacity that's required in pure maths. So yes, there are tests that are developed for that specific reason. But at the same time, while the assessments are an important part of career guidance process, you always have to consider a holistic approach in choosing a career path, meaning that you need to also think about other factors such as the job market, the job outlook, are they in demand, the careers that the learner wants to choose. Is it going to be in demand in the near future, as well as looking at the academic readiness of each learner. And I think with our process where we also take our learners through an assessment for an application, it actually also helps in terms of how we pace them and how these learners would require support when it comes to their academic readiness, as well as doing a bit of research in terms of institutions of higher learning. What are the key requirements for each career path that you want to go for, and ensuring that when you choose a specific measure, you know exactly what to work around, or what are the demands, and how to get into these institutions of higher learning.
Okay, thanks, Monet. Danny, will there be any other set books required for grade 10 besides the 3 sent via email?
So just to clarify that we only have set works for our languages. If this learner, who I assume they are, is taking Afrikaans as an FAL, it's 3. And if they are doing isiXhosa, it's 4.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Let's go on to Monet again. How's the UCT team going to help us with applying and doing all that is needed to get into the right university? That sounds very similar to a previous question we had as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're looking at creating a resource catalog with information about different institutions, locally and internationally. We will be hosting as well universities and careers fairs virtually to ensure that we get the right information for the learners to ensure that they are well prepared.
Great. And Danny, what type of thermometer is required for grade 10s who'll be taking physics?
A mercury thermometer.
Okay, it's the mercury, the silver stuff, not the planet, huh? Okay, just double checking. Monet, how to be sure of your career choice and know that what you've chosen is of passion and not for money or other things? So what do you do when you don't know what to do? Now, there's an interesting question.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But I think it speaks to the career development process and the framework that we are putting together. And I think, like I said, it speaks to the process of self-awareness, number one. Career awareness is the second piece, and then career planning being the other piece. Now, when you think about self-awareness, it is the process that involves you answering the question, who am I, right? Yeah. Discovering your own interest, your values, your passions, to aid you when you make that decision. And then the second element is career awareness. You then need to start exploring careers, and you base this on your interest, your values, your personality, and learn about the jobs in demand as well. And then the third element then becomes career development. Now, this is where you start formulating yourself. You start taking the actions and the steps that are required to ensure that you answer the question, how do I get there? How do I become a doctor? So meaning that there's a process that you need to follow to ensure that you get to where you want to go by developing strategies and a plan or a blueprint to realize your full potential in getting that dream job. And then so essentially, a good career decision follows a process of choosing a career based on who you are, what you want for your life, which actually determines the career pathway or the career majors you need to take, and then which would then in turn determine which subjects to choose, and lastly, the institutions you would need to apply to. And then getting this process right will make things very easy for you, and you would make that ultimate decision, meaning that you need to go through the entire process of learning about yourself, learning about careers, as well as now getting into the planning process.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Monet. Danny, I've got two questions for you. We'll kick off with the first one. Can we take an 8th subject at UCT Online High School?
So learners can certainly take additional subjects. We do just advise that they do meet with the admissions team to discuss their options and what is in their best interest in terms of time management and capacity, and to also just bear in mind that these additional subjects will incur additional fees.
Perfect. And then the other question for you, will we be assisted with study methods and also time management?
Absolutely. So this is something I really do love, and it falls very much part of our Learning Compass program, as well as something which our counselling and academic support teams will engage with our learners in various mediums and platforms.
Okay, now, Sherry, I've got a question for you. My son is going to grade 11 in 2022. He has subjects that the school had on offer, but he might want to include or exclude some subjects. So would we need more info on that possibility?
I would advise that the guardians or the parents get in touch with the student records team for this one. We would really need to understand this case in particular, what the subjects are, all the details involved in this case, to be able to advise them appropriately. So you can reach the student records team at sro@valenciainstitute.com.
Okay, and Danny, another one for you. How to help children to be responsible with and or take charge of their education and school life without parents having to look over their shoulders. I'm sure they'll be very happy with the parents not looking over their shoulders, but I think a very good question.
It really is. And this is something, again, where Kino, you've heard me talk a lot about our hidden curriculum, our life curriculum, which really alludes to this, and what our learning campus sessions, our career pathway journey, co-curricular offerings are designed to facilitate. These are transferable life skills. It's more than just the academics. So we're looking at the hard and the soft skills, which you also alluded to earlier. So the hard skills, which are your teachable and measurable abilities, like your reading, your writing, your maths, computer programming. In contrast, they're the soft skills, and this is part of it, and becoming independent individuals and wholesome, well-rounded individuals and citizens, where these traits that we encourage and question, what does it mean to be a good human being or a good employee? What is appropriate etiquette, good communication and listening skills? How do we be an individual within a community, etc.? So we certainly have got a strong focus on that, and we just hope that our learners jump at the opportunity, and of course having parents support that vision. I'm really thrilled to hear a parent asking this, and we hope that we can partner with you in ensuring that we do create independent adolescents.
And a final question, once again, for you, Danny. For science subjects like chemistry, will learners be going to a laboratory for experiments?
No, they will not. Everything we do will be online except for their matric examinations.
Well, and that really brings us, listen, a whole 3 minutes late. But, you know, I'm sure we can make up for that. I'd just like to thank you very much. Thanks to the panel, by the way, as always, beautifully answered. And thank you for submitting the questions. Now, you're probably wondering, when do you need to select your subjects? Now, that's a phenomenal question. It's a really good question. Well, this will depend on your start date, but the guardians will be prompted by email, right, to submit their child's subject choices over the next week. So look out for that. And that brings us to the end of it, really. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be on this platform with you. We're dealing with your child's future. We care about that future, and we'll do everything in our power to make sure that your child achieves the success that he or she wants to in life. So thank you, Danny. Thank you, Monet. Thank you very much, Sherry, for all your time this evening. And once again, thank you for putting all the questions to us. You've put the Q&A questions there. We will get hold of you. As long as you tell us who you are and how we can get hold of you, we'll certainly get those answered. But have a fabulous evening. If you're like me and you haven't had dinner yet, enjoy. Otherwise, just generally enjoy the rest of your evening.